definitely got to find a way to, player by player, try to pitch in and help out in terms of what we'll miss with him.
Bronson can't go out and be exactly like Trey, but what does he need to do that maybe he doesn't do in the backup role?
I think the one thing is try to keep it simple, and as I talked to him a little bit yesterday about it, just play. Let it rip. He's prepared for this moment. He's been on big stages before. He's won state championships here. He's played in a lot of big games here as a Badger. So he just, I think now will adjust into that role that, it's his time to step in, and he won't be able to do, or is not the same player Trey is. He does some things differently than Trey, and Trey is a little different than him in some areas. But I think the thing is he needs to understand to be aggressive, to trust his teammates, to rely on his experiences and understand that he's prepared for this moment in the last 2 years and in the prior years before he got here. So he's ready. He'll be fine. He just needs to, get his feet wet a little bit and be comfortable. I think that'll be the biggest thing. He's talented enough. It's just a matter of playing at ease.
Do you think that aggressiveness has only shown in spurts so far this year?
Yeah, I think regardless of Trey getting hurt or not getting hurt, Bronson, that was his next step. He needs to become more aggressive and like I think the biggest thing I've said to him is just let it rip. Let it go and play and attack and play north and south. Don't play as much east and west. I think he's, maybe this will be a thing that'll help spark him too, knowing that I got to take a step forward.
Trey's been praised a lot for his on-court leadership. Replacing that, does the bulk of that fall on Bronson with the added minutes, or is that something you see spreading around?
I think that's collectively, because you don't replace the experience. There's 2 more years of experience there that Trey has that Bronson doesn't have. So, he can bring some of the intangible things on the floor in terms of commanding a huddle, calling some plays, things like that. Experience is still going to be, we aren't trading apples for apples in terms of experience of play calling and things like that too. So, Bronson will have to contribute in ways that he can and play to his strengths, and not worry about Trey did this or Trey did that. Play to his strengths and lead the best way he can, and he'll also get help from his teammates. We got other seniors out there too that can step up and doesn't always have to be a point guard that can be in a leadership role.
Bronson and Josh will probably be on the court at the same time, but when they're not, can Josh run the offense? Since you thought,
he can.
Okay.
That was our plan before he got hurt. He was going to be the point guard 2 years ago before he tore his ACL. So he's been in that position. Again, they all bring something a little bit different, but in terms of understanding and the moxie and the awareness of what we want to get done and what is important for us to do, Josh has a good grasp of that.
I know you guys would never make excuses for a loss, but not having Frank, that's a big deal. How much could you sense the fact that his presence wasn't out there in that game?
I don't know. You take an All-American out of anybody's lineup, and it's going to have an impact. Unless you're Kentucky, maybe. Then you just replace him with another one. But no, it was evident. We knew that. Post presence, just all the things Frank does, plays he makes with the ball, how he's gotten so good protecting the rim, defensive rebounding, offensive rebounding, leadership, experience. The list is very long in terms of what Frank gives to this team.
But does that make that loss any easier to swallow, knowing?
No,
not at all.
No, because even without Frank, we did not play to our potential and where we need to play.
Greg, when you took a look at the second half, you get 1.6 something.
1.63.
Is that as ugly as it sounds? When you look at that?
Or maybe uglier. I don't know if it sounds ugly or if it is very ugly.
So when you went back and took a look at what went wrong defensively?
A lot of one-on-one situations where we couldn't even stop the dribble. We just got flat out beat off the dribble. And some of that is Frank in behind a little bit too. Maybe we're too reliant on that. Some of it, guys in different positions in terms of screening actions and how to defend screens. And a lot of times Frank's in that fly trap position, so to speak, where he's the one absorbing it. But no, just all around defensively, probably is the one that is fresh in my mind is last year's Nebraska game at Nebraska. That was somewhat like a hot knife through butter too. And we have to be better. That's regardless of who's on the floor. This program hasn't been built on being a sieve defensively. It's been just the opposite when we've been at our best. So it's not the first time that red flag has been raised. Defensively, we've known from day one that we have to improve. And I think we have improved at times, but we haven't been consistent enough. obviously the second half we weren't near where we need to be.
How much film will you show that game in Lincoln, and how much different is Nebraska? I know they still have Headaway and Shields, but
Well, there's almost 30 clips out of it in the scout film for tomorrow, so I'm sure that's pretty much every layup and driving basket that they got. I don't know, but they've bought in. Where I noticed the biggest difference to them is defensively. They've gotten better defensively than what they were a year ago. So whether that's experience, obviously they've understood how important that end of the floor is when the ball's not going in. They've added a pretty good defensive coach to their staff in Jim Molinari. It's helped them, I think, with that. So they're better. They're more committed defensively than what I've ever seen.
Greg, how does the next man in mentality change with this program when it's not on your terms, when adversity dictates the next guy has to step in?
Well, that's usually always the next man in philosophy where it comes from. I mean, it's a point in time where you never know when it's going to happen, whether it's foul trouble, injuries, illness. So you just have to step up and be ready to go. And hopefully preparation of guys that are going to be stepping in to fill in that role has taken place, and they're ready for it. So it'll be, you never know when it's going to hit. So it's just a matter of being prepared for the moment, and you're probably not going to prepare in 2 days. It's going to be what has been done the last few months and years prior to this.
Greg, is Showalter one guy when you talk about that needs to?
I think it'd be in the mix, yeah. But I think everybody else can pick up a little bit more too. You know, if everybody can give just, another rebound, one more assist, one more defensive stop. It's not going to be one person exactly filling Trey's shoes and what he was able to do. It's got to be a collective group, and it made our identity may morph a little bit in terms of how we play, in terms of just different positions. But in terms of our identity as a team, it has to be the same. Everybody just has to take a step forward.
So losing a guard, there's no consideration of with Jordan Hill taking a red shirt off at this point, is
not at this point. Too much preparation time is lost in terms of putting him in those positions.
You know, I don't know if there's any. It's tough to compare teams. But remember when Jordan Taylor had a fill in?
When John broke his thumb.
Down?
Yeah.
Can you learn anything from that situation? How to incorporate things? And like you said, the team might be a little bit different in how you play. Because that team changed a little bit when you went to 3-9.
It did. We're obviously here. We've got a well prepared backup. You know, it's going to be how else can we help around him? You know, I don't know if we've ever had a backup as well prepared as Bronson. So that you have a sense of ease about. It's just a matter of getting Bronson's feet wet and getting him comfortable and him understanding. It's just that next man in philosophy, and just put it behind you and go play. It's going to be how do we surround and fill in behind that yet too. So that'll be, maybe by committee and maybe based on matchups and maybe on who's playing well, who isn't. So that lineup and those rotations behind him, they can get a little deeper, they can be shorter, and maybe not play as many people, or shuffle the deck position-wise and slide everybody up a position, play a little bigger. So we have some options.
And how much, when Jordan had to play all those games, how much did that prepare him for next year?
Oh, it was huge. Yeah, it was huge. Yeah, I mean, that was really because I think that was the year he shot 18% from three.
It was his freshman year, and then the sophomore year a little bit
better. So anytime you can get experience like that, I think that obviously helps you and made us better for when John did come back, but it also really catapulted Jordan for the years following.
You mentioned you haven't had a backup as well prepared as Bronson. I mean, that is a luxury that most teams never have, right? I mean, in some respects, is it fortunate for this team to have a kid who's that talented, who has the experience?
Hopefully it's a product of him working hard and putting himself in this position and understanding the process and not getting, he came in with a lot of acclaim, a lot of expectations, and obviously comes into a very good program on a very good team, and he's been very patient in terms of working his way through, and there's things he's had to improve upon a lot. So I think he's ready for this, and I'm excited to see him play, because obviously I've watched him for a lot of years and know what his potential is, and it'll be fun to watch him grow in it.